Okay, continuing in Hilchus Erubei Tchumen. We are in Siman Tzadi Hey, Sif Yud Aleph. So and the end of this Sif has a lot of probably from the most common shilas that gets asked on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Yud Aleph.
Yud Aleph is whatever. Okay, Yud
Oh,
Aleph
I
is
messed it
supposed to go
up?
through. Yeah, supposed to go through Yud Aleph.
I did Yud Aleph.
Oh, so Yud Beis. You're supposed to
Yud
start Yud
Beis.
Beis.
Yeah, I did
Okay.
Yud Aleph. I'm sorry. I did Yud Aleph on the other one. Yeah, Yud Beis. I'm sorry. Yud Beis. Let's say within your tchum, there's a city that's walled. Or it has an Eruv. It doesn't get measured and it doesn't get counted for Dalama. So using our example, let's say you have Farakwe, then you made an Eruv, and then within that Eruv is the city of Lawrence. So you don't count that towards your 2,000 Amos. The whole city of Lawrence will count as 4 Amos. And then you continue your tchum. So you would get a lot of bonus. Meaning, let's say from Faragway to Lawrence is 100 Amos, and then the city of Cedarhurst, and then Lawrence, goes 1,000 Amos. You get another 1,900 Amos after Lawrence. That's Tafkan when the Tchum Shabbos reaches outside the city going. Shemina Erev Ara'ir, that from the Erev until the city, Yesh Chamesh Meas Amas, 500 Amas, V'Arach Eir, He Elef Amma. And the length of the city is 1,000 Amas, Azayir, Ein Nechshavas, El Dalar Amas. And the cities called 4 Amas. V'Yeshem Mechutz Leir, Oid Elef, Tuf Tzadi Vav Amma. You have another 1,596 Amos, the way you calculate it. Bein Chilik, Bein Tzad Zeh, Shalifnei Erev, Bein Tzad Shal Achar Erev, it doesn't make a difference which side of your Eruv this city is. Meaning it could be the you in the Eruv and the other or the Eruv in the city. Fine. But let's say your Tchum Shabbos, it finishes in the middle of the city. Also, you can't go more than that. Since it's outside of Tchum. Because in this Indian, the whole city is not counted as Dalaramas. Meaning, you see, it gets confusing. If you place the actual Eruv in the city, then you become part of the city. If you put the Eruv, if the Eruv is outside the city and your 2,000 Amos ends in the city, then you can only walk as far as your Tchum allows. Yud Gimel, if you put your Eruv close to the 2,000 Amos of the city, when you go back to your city, your 2,000 Amos finishes where your Eruv ends, in the beginning of the city, before your house, you can't go home. Meaning, if you miscalculate and you put your Eruv too far away, right? So you get the 2,000 Amos from where your Eruv is, but if it doesn't make it back to your home, then you're homeless for Shabbos. You can only make an Eruv Tchum for Dvar Mitzvah, going to Spal Basara, L'Hakva Pnei Rabbi, right, to dam with a minion, or to see your Rebbe, or to meet a friend that came, by the Sudas Mitzvah, or the Fekech Aliske Rabbim, or to be busy with the public, or you're traveling and you want to get home on Shabbos, and those type of things. Question is, like in the country, there's a lake down the block. Can you make an Eruv because you want to sit by the Shabbos and enjoy it? The question is that a mitzvah or not? Yeah, fine. Tezvav, and then also once you make the Eruv for a mitzvah, then you could use it for anything. It's only the lichatchila you shouldn't do anything with. You shouldn't make an Eruv unless you need it. Tezvav, unless you need it for a mitzvah. Tesvav, you can't put an Eruv Tchum not on Shabbos, not on Yom Tov. Shabbos. If Yom Tov falls on Erev Shabbos, who writes a Lelechus b'Shabbos, and you want to walk on Shabbos, Erev Yom Tov, you have to put the Erev on Erev Yom Tov. And the same thing if Yom Tov falls out after Shabbos, and you want to go on Yom Tov, Erev Shabbos, you need to put the Erev on Erev Shabbos. The dinam of making an Erev with your feet, which is basically if you don't have food, you can walk outside of the town by Shkia, and then you could stay there, and that will be your Erev, even if you come back home. But in Yom Tov Samach L'Shabbos, Ashnei Yom Tam Shal Goliath, right, 2 days in a row. But right, Yom Beis L'Tzadzeh, B'Simen Tov Yud Vav. He's going to discuss that in Hilchos Yom Tov. Okay, Tezayin. Your utensils and your behemoths are like your feet. The same, the you can't, wherever you can't go, your kalim and your animals can't go either. The meshilon la'achar, and if you lent it to somebody else, like yischiron, or you rented a masaron l'shmira, or you gave it to somebody to watch, harehein kiraglov shalzeh sheim etzlai, then it's considered like the feet of the person that it's by. Fafilu akam, even if he's a guy, kanu akelim behema shvisa etzlai, then he's kind of the kalim of the hema and the shvitzas by the guy. Even the objects that belong to a guy are kind of shvisa, and you can't move them from there. Right? Somebody wants to ask me an interesting question. So if he goes away for Shabbos, let's say he goes upstate for Shabbos, and he lends his house out over here. So his tchum is way upstate. So how does the person renting out his house use a book or anything? You can't move it. It's out of the tchum. Right? So elamai, you have to answer that it's almost as if he rented it or lent it to the person. So therefore, it goes with the person who's using it. Okay, Yud Zayin is the Amazon package sif. That's what I would call it. If you have a guy that brings fruit and that you're not concerned that they actually cut it down today, because if they cut it today, then it'll be also to use. And anything that you're not chayshish that malacha was done, but it has the isser tchum, meaning the guy brought it from outside the tchum. So if he brings it for himself, or for another guy, a guy is allowed, a Yisrael is allowed to use it. Afilu ba'achila, he could even eat it, right? Even if it's far away. But it's usher to move them more than dalet amas because the object was outside the tchum from before Shabbos. Unless you bring it into the house, or the city has an eruv, you can move it around the whole city. Wherever you're allowed to carry it, that's considered dalaramas. Oh, okay, so that's if the guy brings it for himself. Let's say he brings it for a yid. It's also for this Yisrael, and for his entire family, Adla Erev, Kadesha Yosu, until nighttime, until Matzei Shabbos or Yom Tiv, until it takes the amount of time for it to be delivered. The time that it would take to deliver it. When we come up with Taran like betiltul type dalaramas, but it's still mutter to carry within dalaramas, or in the place that it's mutter betiltul. If it's a suffix, it was from out of tchum. It's also ella imkain unless you could think that it makes sense that it wasn't from chutz tchum. So this comes up a lot because when Amazon delivers you a package or anybody delivers you a package Shabbos morning, especially in the summer, what's the chances that it's not in the tchum already by Friday night? Right, so it depends if it was overnighted. Meaning, can you assume that by 8 o'clock it was already by the FedEx or the UPS or the Amazon warehouse, and then delivering out the same day? That's one. Two is that nowadays many poskim can say that you're allowed to take packages even if you know they came from out of town, because they are working for themselves. Meaning that in the old day, what we're talking about is when they were couriers for your sake, right? But now they're not. But nowadays they're not doing it for your specific thing. They're just bringing packages to whoever. So that's why nowadays we do allow packages to be opened, even if they're delivered on Shabbos from outside of the tchum. There's no tchum more than 10 tefachim. This also comes up because a lot of people into cruises nowadays. Somebody who comes in a boat, an Erev Shabbos, before Shabbos comes in, and the boat went even from a long distance. Once it gets to the port, and he went off the ship, he gets 2,000 amas. On a ship, you're always 10 tvachim above the karka, but like on a shvisa, on the makom shehu balish yabasha, and it was not kind of a place to live, until he comes to Yabasha. But if on Shabbos the Svina, the boat, he goes off the boat and then he goes back on the boat. Since he was on the dry land on Shabbos, he's kind of shvisa there. And if the boat goes after that outside the tchum, he only gets dalaramas like the din of going out of the tchum. And same thing if the ship was and Shabbos b'makom echad in one place, she'ein sham asar tvachim ad lekarka. For whatever reason, it wasn't higher than 10 tvachim. Kana sham shvisa, then that's where his shvisa is, and he can only go 2,000 amos for whatever that was. And if he's not sure, in the kula, then you would go to kula. Now, what about going on a plane? You get on a plane before Shabbos, so l'chara that you're not at a tchum because you're above 10 amos, right? Problem is that once it lands, then you're kind of the shvisa, which I don't know because I'm not sure how to look at that. How do you look at a ship? Do you look at or a boat? Do you look at it that's on the ground, or you look at it that it's not on the ground? Right? Are you on the ground or are you not on the ground? So I'm not sure. From here, it sounds like the ship. You look at it, you count the 10 from where you are. But the plane, either way, I'm not sure. But it's certainly what to talk about if a plane lands on Shabbos or Yom Tov. Okay, we'll stop over there. Everybody should have a fine night and a good Shabbos.